Imagine being admired for your strength, charm, and resilience, only for life to suddenly take all of that away in the blink of an eye. Now picture standing at the side of the person you love most in the world, only to watch them slowly unravel. Not because of a lack of devotion, but because of the devastating weight of illness and the cruel changes it brings. This is the heartbreaking reality now surrounding ITV's much-loved presenter, Ben Shephard, and his devoted wife, Annie Shephard. For decades, fans have adored Ben for his warmth on screen, his quick wit on Tipping Point, his banter on Good Morning Britain, and his reputation as one of the kindest men in television. Alongside him, Annie has always been the quiet yet steady presence, admired for her intelligence, her strength, and her unshakable loyalty. Together, they seemed untouchable, an ITV love story built on friendship, laughter, and a deep respect that many envied. But now, whispers behind the scenes suggest that this picture-perfect marriage is under enormous strain. After receiving a life-altering medical diagnosis, Ben has reportedly made the unthinkable decision to walk away from Annie. Not because he doesn't love her, but because he believes it is the only way to protect her. What could drive such a devoted husband to such a heartbreaking choice? And is this truly the end of the love story that once gave ITV fans hope in an industry often scarred by fleeting romances? Stay with me, because this story is about to take you through the highs, the lows, and the emotional unraveling of one of Britain's most beloved couples. Unlike many television marriages that play out in headlines and tabloids, Ben and Annie Shephard always valued privacy over publicity. While Ben spent years in the spotlight, hosting game shows, breakfast television, and live events, Annie chose to remain behind the scenes, focusing on her career in interior design and raising their two sons. Friends described them as the perfect balance. Ben, the entertainer, who lit up every room, and Annie, the grounded anchor who reminded him of who he was when the cameras stopped rolling. Fans loved that their marriage was real. No scandals, no Hollywood glamour, just a love story rooted in laughter, school runs, and the kind of quiet devotion that so many long for. But behind even the strongest smiles, life has a way of testing us in ways we never expect. And for Ben, that test arrived suddenly and brutally. Reports suggest that in recent months, Ben began battling unexplained fatigue, weight loss, and worrying changes to his health. At first, he dismissed it as exhaustion, a natural consequence of his punishing schedule. Between Tipping Point, Good Morning Britain, and special ITV events, Ben was rarely off screen. He prided himself on his stamina, his ability to juggle it all. But when the symptoms grew worse, Annie insisted he undergo full medical testing, and that's when the devastating truth reportedly emerged. Ben had been diagnosed with a serious condition, one that has not only robbed him of his usual energy, but also, according to insiders, begun to alter his physical appearance. Those closest to him say the diagnosis hit like a sledgehammer. For years, Ben Shephard was the epitome of health, athletic, charming, a man admired for his vitality. Now he reportedly found himself staring into the mirror and struggling to recognize the reflection looking back. And for Annie, the pain of watching her husband change so dramatically was nothing short of unbearable. Despite Annie's unwavering support, her insistence that they would face the storm together, Ben is said to have spiraled into a place of deep emotional conflict. Sources suggest he began voicing fears that Annie deserved better than to spend her life caring for a man who was fading before her eyes. In conversations with friends, Ben reportedly admitted that walking away might be the most selfless act of love he could offer. For him, the choice wasn't about leaving Annie behind. It was about freeing her, protecting her from the burden of watching him decline. To the outside world, it seems unthinkable. Ben Shephard, the man known for his loyalty and family values, considering leaving the woman who has stood by him for more than 2 decades. But to Ben, it was simple. He loved Annie too much to let her be trapped in a marriage defined by illness. For Annie, the whispers of Ben's decision have been nothing short of devastating. Friends have described her as heartbroken but determined, insisting that she doesn't want freedom, she wants her husband, no matter what condition he is in. Recently, paparazzi photos captured Annie leaving a private London clinic, her face etched with sadness. It was a rare glimpse into the private pain of a woman who has always avoided the spotlight. This isn't the polished Annie fans have occasionally glimpsed on red carpets. This is a wife fighting to hold on to the love of her life, even as he contemplates letting her go. Her silence speaks volumes. She's not ready to accept Ben's decision. She refuses to let illness dictate the fate of their marriage. But can love alone withstand the crushing weight of such a diagnosis? When news of Ben's struggles began to circulate, fans were left stunned. Social media flooded with messages of heartbreak and disbelief. Many couldn't fathom why Ben, the man they'd watched for years with admiration, would choose to step away from Annie at the very moment when love and loyalty mattered most. Some saw his decision as cruel, questioning how leaving could ever be an act of love. Others, however, sympathized deeply, recognizing the unbearable burden of facing the world while feeling like a shadow of your former self. Either way, the nation was gripped. For a couple who had always avoided drama, their private heartbreak had suddenly become one of the most talked about stories in British television. In ITV, colleagues have reportedly been left reeling. Ben Shephard has always been described as the heartbeat of the studio, the man who greeted staff with warmth, remembered everyone's names, and never let fame cloud his kindness. For many, the idea of him stepping back from his marriage, let alone his career, feels unimaginable. One colleague told reporters, "Ben isn't just a presenter, he's family." Seeing him go through this is devastating, and knowing Annie is suffering too makes it even harder. The Shephards weren't just another TV couple. They represented stability and grace in an industry so often dominated by scandal. Now, that image is shattering before our eyes. What Ben and Annie are going through highlights something bigger than celebrity gossip. It forces us to confront the question, what does true love look like when illness changes everything? For some, it's holding on tighter than ever before, refusing to let go no matter how hard the road becomes. For others, it's about sacrifice, even if that sacrifice means walking away to protect the one you love most. Neither path is easy. Both are drenched in heartbreak. And in Ben's case, his decision has exposed the raw, painful reality of what happens when strength fades, when appearance shifts, and when the weight of illness collides with the desire to protect those we love. As of now, the Shepherd's future hangs in the balance. Friends say Annie continues to fight for their marriage, urging Ben to see that her love isn't conditional, that she wants him exactly as he is, illness and all. But Ben remains torn between his love for Annie and his fear of trapping her in a life overshadowed by his decline. It is perhaps the cruelest of ironies. Two people who love each other deeply, yet facing the possibility of parting ways, not because of a lack of love, but because of too much of it. Whether Ben Shephard ultimately walks away or holds on, one thing is certain. His story with Annie is not just about celebrity, it's about humanity. It's about the fragility of health, the courage of love, and the heartbreaking choices illness forces upon us. Fans will remember Ben not just as the smiling face of ITV, but as a man who loved his wife enough to put her above himself, even if that meant breaking both their hearts. And Annie, she will forever be remembered as the woman who stood by his side, unwavering, determined, and unwilling to let love slip away without a fight. Their story is a reminder to us all. Life is fragile. Health is fleeting. But love is what defines us in the end. If you've been moved by this heartbreaking journey, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell. This story is far from over, and we'll continue to bring you the latest updates on Ben and Annie Shephard as they unfold. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you believe Ben is right to consider walking away as an act of love? Or should Annie's determination to stand by him be the final word in this love story? Share your thoughts in the comments. because sometimes the hardest love stories are the ones that don't end the way we expect.